All right, welcome to the fourth video, third review, final outing for the week. In terms of the session, up this time is Neural Shock. In Neural Shock, you must cleanse the world of horrid and bloodthirsty creatures by utilizing turrets, traps, wits, and weapons. Choose from different classes with unique play styles and over 20 plus different turrets and traps in this unique sci-fi tower defense / action RPG. Like, right, so that's a bit lofty. I'm like, now, when they say it's an action RPG, they mean it's got upgradable RPG elements. Like, as you go through the stages, you will earn skill points that you could put into various aspects of the traps and your character. And you have two builds.
Sometimes it feels like that's all you need.
Yeah. You've got the sniper and you've got the engineer. I played as the sniper. Here's the thing. When you build up one character, you don't build up the other. So if you want to switch over, it's generally a bad idea to you're gonna have to go back through the levels to build them up. And this game wasn't that compelling, truth be told. I suppose that's a bit of a spoiler, but whatever. Now, this game isn't as unique as it purports to be, in the sense that, there have been plenty of tower defense games that have had a playable avatar in them. One that immediately comes to mind is Pixel Junk Monsters. And that was 15 years ago. Another one that comes to mind is South Park Let's Go Tower Defense Play. That had 4-player, tower. You could play this all 4 of the kids there. So this is fairly well worn here in that aspect, and like those that choose to have an avatar in the mix, it is an important part of the gameplay. Here more so than others, at least with the sniper. That's the thing. The engineer's more the traditional type, as in you let the turrets take the point rather than your character, or working more in tandem there. The sniper is powerful, very powerful bullets, very deliberate to make sure not overpowered. And in terms of turrets, it boasts 20 plus turrets, but that's over the course of the game. You unlock turrets as you play through the missions, which once again is that's fairly traditional tower defensery, if you will. The interesting thing that you can do with the turrets is positioning. Positioning is at once more open and more restrictive than your traditional tower defense game. That is to say, in terms of where you can place a turret, you can only place it on certain circles, designated turret spots. And yeah, you get that to a certain extent in more traditional fare, but it's a lot more open, where you could put a turret in, say, defense grid. The difference here is the turrets can be orientated. This is something I haven't personally seen in another tower defense game. Not saying it doesn't exist. It's just, not a mechanic I've seen elsewhere before. And that is, you can place a turret in one of the 4 cardinal directions. And that very much factors into the gameplay, since you can only place turrets at particular areas. Also worth noting, there are certain spaces where it costs more to put a turret in place. And once you do once you get the placement there, it's got, once again, traditional upgrade paths. You can upgrade damage, fire rate, and pretty unique to this game, bleed rates. How long does a monster bleed for? And you do that. You get currency by killing creatures and surviving waves. This game does sometimes affect the most traditional tropes of the genre. Like I said, it's a neat mix of ideas. Like, its execution, brutal. Brutal is the word for it. This game is hard. And not just in terms of like strategic thinking, because you're going to have to think differently than your traditional tower defense game. You're like, at least with the sniper build, it's a lot more active. Because your avatar, not just more powerful, but can do things like can lead monsters away from the target. If you get close enough, they'll follow you. Which is a part of the tactical strategy planning here. As well as dying. So the penalty for dying is your avatar will be off the field for 30 seconds, which in this game is a long time. It can be the literal difference between pass or fail. So what this all leads up to is this is honestly the most difficult tower defense game I've ever played. It's pretty lenient for the tutorial, but it will ramp up very quickly. Round 4, mission 4, I was failing on the regular. That's how difficult this game gets very quickly.
That is pretty early.
Yeah. And keep in mind, and also, this is on the default setting. You can make this game harder. You can tweak the brutality to be even more brutal. So it's very much thriving on the difficulty. So I understand where this game is coming from. I didn't particularly care for the execution. Especially since moving, the keyboard maneuvering of the avatar kind of clunky. It all works, but I wasn't blown away by it. Granted, my patience for tower defense games is usually pretty limited. It's one of those genres that I find I play for a few hours and then I go do something else. Not sure what it's about, but I think the only tower defense game that's really held my attention for significant lengths of time was Defense Grid. Other ones, played for a few hours, moved on. Here it was more, I thought the difficulty spikes were too much, too soon. Like, this kind of the level of brutality I was seeing in mission 4 probably should be coming in at like somewhere like mission 9, mission 10 for a proper learning curve. This is a learning spike, or a difficulty spike as they call it sometimes. Also, there's no getting around this particular aspect. The game looks not like, I'm not sure how deliberate it is, but the game looks ugly, but not in a it's like in kind of a cheap way. But who is to say how much in the terms of the resources were being worked with here?
Yeah.
Anyway, in terms of pricing, pretty typical tower defense pricing, $5.99. Like, that's the price I've found most tower defense games come in at. There's exceptions like the Toy Soldiers franchise, but that's a full-on 3D tower defense game. Once again, Defense Grid, but that's like about as AAA as a tower defense game gets. This is definitely more in the more typical tier, if you will. And I will go back to, at the very least, it's not a tower defense game. I think the last one of these we covered, I came down on it for being, just, completely derivative of everything outside of, like, the particular aesthetics it was using. This game has ideas. A bit of, it's got janky execution, but at least it's got an imagination. I can praise it for that. And yeah, I think that's about all I got for this one. Any questions, comments, or concerns here?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, then. So, yeah, that'll about do it for not just this review, but for the review session. Coming up on the week ahead, first of all, we do have a new episode of Moonhawk Studios Presents planned. We seem to be in a touch-and-go session with Mac. But at least this time we have the capability to carry on without him, should it be needed. So that's good. We're not losing weeks because, he has to pay the bills.
Right.
Anyway, so coming up on Wednesday, July 10th, it will be our grand pleasure to welcome back to the program our good friend, Rebecca Berger Becky Heineman. It's been a while. I think it's been about 3 years or so. Like I once again, it's one of those things I'd have to look up, but I do know it's been a few years since we've last had her on the show.
Yeah, I know occasionally she pipes in the Discord every now and then, but yeah, it's been a while since we had a review.
This time around, she's going to be talking about her porting efforts with the game Luxor Evolved, which is a part of that Luxor series. If you might remember, probably Luxor 2 out of all of them. There were a shitload of Luxor games about 15 years ago. It's kind of Mumbo Jumbo's, the kind of casual arch rival to PopCap during that time. Their answer to Zuma. Anyway, we'll get into all of that on Wednesday. And we do have a Friday show planned this week. On Friday, July 12th, I'm hoping I don't butcher this. We'll be having Liviu. Gonna have to see how that's pronounced. Of Stuck in the Attic on the program. So this developer is coming to us from the literal Transylvania. The actual Transylvania territory.
The part of Romania.
Yeah, Romania. And
damn.
I bring this up because it's a factor in the games they develop, which have a gothic, creepy vibe. In fact, their upcoming game, Near Mage, I believe you take control of a teenage vampire, I want to say. Or maybe aspiring wizard student. What I do know is this is the game takes place in Transylvania. It's definitely a case of writing what you know. I'm granted the developer has yet to get back to me, but that's coming up on, that's Friday, so there's still time to check in. Anyway, so on that note, I shall wish you good gaming.